Imagine standing near a quiet swamp. The air is thick, hot, and heavy. The water barely moves. Suddenly, the surface starts to ripple. Not from wind, not from rain, but from something massive moving just beneath it. And then you see it, a snake so huge that your brain refuses to accept what your eyes are seeing. This is not a movie monster. This is not a myth. This creature was real. And its name was Titanoboa, the largest snake to ever exist on Earth. Titanoboa wasn't just big, it was on a completely different level, bigger than any snake alive today, bigger than anything humans have ever encountered. A creature so powerful that it could crush animals with ease, snap bones under pressure, and swallow prey whole without venom, without claws, just raw strength. Today, we're going deep into the story of Titanoboa, the snake that ruled the ancient world and still shocks scientists to this day. To understand Titanoboa, we have to travel back about 60 million years to a time just after the dinosaurs had gone extinct. The planet was still healing from that massive extinction event, but life didn't stop. In fact, something surprising happened. With dinosaurs gone, other animals began to grow larger, stronger, and more dominant in their own ways. And in the hot, swampy regions near the equator, reptiles became the new rulers. This was the Paleocene epoch, and the Earth was much warmer than it is today. There were no ice caps. The air was humid. Rainforests were thick, dark, and overflowing with life. And in what is now Colombia, massive tropical swamps covered the land. These swamps were filled with fish, giant turtles, crocodile-like reptiles, and early mammals. It was the perfect place for a giant predator to thrive. That predator was Titanoboa. Titanoboa terrigonensis was discovered in the early 2000s in the Cerrillon coal mine in Colombia. Scientists digging through ancient rock layers found huge fossilized bones, mainly vertebrae, the bones that make up a snake's spine. At first, they knew these bones belonged to a snake, but when they measured them, they were stunned. These vertebrae were far larger than anything seen in modern snakes. As more fossils were uncovered, scientists realized they weren't dealing with just one giant snake. They had found remains from many Titanoboas, all incredibly large. This meant Titanoboa wasn't a rare freak of nature, it was a normal part of the ecosystem back then. Giant snakes were common in that ancient rainforest. So, how big was Titanoboa really? Based on fossil evidence and comparisons with living snakes, scientists estimate that Titanoboa was around 40 to 45 feet long, and possibly even longer in some cases. That's longer than a school bus. Its weight is estimated to be over 1 ton, making it not only the longest snake ever, but also the heaviest. To put that into perspective, today's largest snakes, like the green anaconda, usually weigh a few hundred kilograms at most. Titanoboa easily doubled or even tripled that weight. Just imagine a snake thicker than a tree trunk, stretching longer than a city street, slowly moving through dark water. That alone is terrifying, but its size wasn't just for show, it was a weapon. Titanoboa's vertebrae reveal more than just size, they show how its body functioned mechanically. Each vertebra was exceptionally thick and wide, allowing powerful muscle attachment along the entire length of its body. This meant Titanoboa didn't rely on speed or sudden strikes. Instead, it used slow, controlled movement and overwhelming pressure. Once it made contact, its prey had almost no chance of escape. Unlike many modern constrictors that strike from ambush on land, Titanoboa was likely a semi-aquatic ambush predator. Its body shape suggests it moved efficiently through water, using lateral undulation to approach prey quietly. Water also helped support its massive weight, reducing energy cost while hunting. This gave Titanoboa an advantage over land-based predators in its environment. This hunting style made Titanoboa less of a sprinter and more of a living trap, a predator that relied on patience, positioning, and unstoppable force rather than speed. Unlike many snakes people fear today, Titanoboa was not venomous. It didn't need poison. Instead, it killed like modern boas and anacondas through constriction. That means it would grab its prey with its jaws, wrap its enormous body around it, and squeeze. And when we say squeeze, we're talking about unimaginable force. Modern constrictor snakes already have crushing power strong enough to stop a heart by cutting off blood flow. Now, imagine that same ability multiplied several times over. Titanoboa's muscles, stretched across dozens of feet, could apply massive pressure. Scientists believe that once Titanoboa wrapped itself around an animal, escape was impossible. Bones could crack, breathing would stop, the fight would be over quickly. So what did a monster like this eat? Titanoboa lived in and around water, much like today's anacondas. Because of this, its main food source was likely large fish, giant turtles, and crocodile-like reptiles that shared its swampy environment. Fossils from the same area show massive turtles and ancient crocodilians that would have been perfect prey for such a snake. There is even evidence suggesting Titanoboa may have hunted animals nearly its own size. With its strength and size advantage, it could overpower creatures that no snake alive today could even attempt to attack. Once Titanoboa finished a meal, it likely rested for long periods, slowly digesting its prey, just like modern snakes, but on a much larger scale. Now here's something that really blows people's minds. Titanoboa could only exist because of how hot the Earth was back then. Snakes are cold-blooded animals, meaning they rely on external heat to control their body temperature. The warmer the environment, the more energy they can produce, and the bigger they can grow. During Titanoboa's time, average temperatures near the equator were much higher than they are today. Some estimates suggest average yearly temperatures above 30 degrees Celsius. That constant heat allowed Titanoboa to stay active, digest large meals, and maintain its massive body. In today's cooler climate, a snake that large simply couldn't survive. It wouldn't get enough energy. Its body would shut down. So Titanoboa wasn't just a product of evolution, it was a product of climate. This is one reason scientists are so interested in Titanoboa. Its size gives clues about ancient temperatures and helps researchers understand how climate affects animal growth. In a way, Titanoboa is like a living thermometer from the past. One more thing that makes Titanoboa fascinating is how scientists used it to solve a long-standing mystery about ancient rainforests. For years, researchers debated whether early tropical forests were as warm and dense as we imagine. The size of Titanoboa helped answer that question. A snake this massive could only survive in an environment with constant heat and huge amounts of available food. Its fossils became proof that ancient rainforests were not just warm, but extremely productive ecosystems. Titanoboa also changed how scientists think about size limits in reptiles. Before its discovery, many believed snakes could never grow beyond a certain length. Titanoboa shattered that assumption. It showed that when conditions are right, reptiles can reach sizes once thought impossible. This discovery didn't just add a new species to textbooks, it forced scientists to rethink how powerful and adaptable cold-blooded animals can be. Now, you might wonder, could something like Titanoboa exist today? The short answer is no. Earth's climate has changed too much. The temperatures that allowed Titanoboa to thrive no longer exist on a large enough scale. Modern ecosystems also couldn't support a predator of that size. There simply wouldn't be enough food. But even though Titanoboa is gone, it still holds records that no modern animal has come close to breaking. The largest snake alive today, the reticulated python, can reach about 30 feet in extreme cases. That's impressive until you remember Titanoboa was at least 10 to 15 feet longer and far heavier. Titanoboa remains the undisputed champion of snakes. What makes Titanoboa even more fascinating is that it wasn't aggressive or evil. It was simply an animal doing what it evolved to do. It hunted, it survived, it dominated its environment, and then as Earth cooled and ecosystems changed, it disappeared. Not because it was weak, but because the world it depended on no longer existed. That's the story of life on Earth. Species rise, rule, and fall as the planet changes around them. Titanoboa reminds us that nature is capable of creating things far beyond our imagination, creatures so massive and powerful that they feel unreal, yet they existed. They lived, they hunted, and they ruled. So the next time someone says modern animals are the scariest creatures to ever live, remember this giant snake that once ruled ancient swamps. A snake that didn't need venom. A snake that could break bones with pressure alone. A snake that still holds the title of the largest ever discovered. That was Titanoboa, the king of snakes, and a true monster from Earth's past.